Hey everybody, Clint Swindoll here with this second video in the Tell Me Something Good video series brought to you by Virginia Beach Economic Development. If you didn't watch the first video, I encourage you to jump back and give it a quick watch because it sets the groundwork for what we'll be experiencing in this series. In the video, one thing I shared is that bad stuff and negativity are often confused. My entire career, I have seen incredible people allow bad stuff and negativity to pull them down and keep them from seeing the good stuff. In fact, in my very first job straight out of college, I encountered an employee who did just that. It was my encounter with her 30 years ago that Tell Me Something Good started as a part of my regular communication. Now, it's important to note that this employee was extremely negative. I mean, this woman was foul. She wore her negativity like a badge of honor. She would walk around the office and look you dead in the eye and say, "You'll never find anybody more negative than me." She was proud of it. She had that scowl. You know that scowl I'm talking about? That one that's permanently ingrained in someone's face because they've been bitter and jaded for so long that they literally just exude that everywhere they go. Even when they're smiling, you can still see the bitterness. She was one of those people. In fact, she's the kind of person they ask to leave the bar at 5 o'clock so they can start happy hour. You know the type of person I'm talking about, don't you? She was bitter. One day she comes running into my office. She's about 20 minutes late for work. She comes running through the office with this great big stack of school books in her hands for some reason. Over in the corner of my office, I had one of those little round conference tables. Now, she comes running through the office. She runs past my desk. She slams the school books down on that little conference table. She flops down in the chair and gives me a great big belly sigh and glares at me like I did something to screw up her day. Now, you have to understand something about me. I am not the type of person who will typically ask somebody that I know, "How you doing?" Because quite frankly, in this negative world, well, I'm afraid they'll tell me. You think about it. You walk up to somebody you see every single day. You see them on a Zoom call in this virtual world. You look them straight in the eye and say, "Good morning, how are you?" And they look at you and say, "Oh, you hadn't heard? I thought everybody had heard by now." And then they proceed to tell you all the crud that is going on in their life. And you're thinking to yourself, "I didn't even want to know this. I was just trying to be friendly. And now I have to sit and listen to all this nonsense." Yes, you do. And you know why? Because it's your fault. You asked the wrong question. If you don't get anything else from my comments in this series, get this. If you don't want to know how somebody is doing, don't ask. But we do, don't we? We do it all the time. I fell into that trap more times than I care to count. I said to myself one day, I'm tired of falling in that trap, and I need some way to stop doing it. I need to stop asking people, "How are you doing?" and figure out a better way to start a conversation. And so all those years later, I figured it out. I stopped asking people how they were doing and started throwing out one simple phrase. And that simple phrase is, "Tell me something good." I will see somebody I encounter every day and say, "Tell me something good." And you would be amazed how that one simple challenge can change not just that conversation, but an entire organization when you say, we are going to focus first on what works well, and then we'll focus on our challenges. This is not about rose-colored glasses thinking. It's not about let's ignore the bad stuff and just focus on the good. No, this is about saying we're going to focus first on the good stuff. So this lady comes running into my office. She's, again, 20 minutes late for work. She's got this great big stack of school books in her hands for some reason. She comes running through the office. She runs past my desk. She slams the school books down on that little conference table. She flops down in the chair and gives me that great big belly sigh and glares at me. I wheeled around in my chair. I put a great big smile on my face and said, "Tell me something good." She said, "Oh, shut up." She said, "There ain't nothing good." I said, "Nothing?" She said, "Nothing." Said, "My husband and I got in a fight last night. The electricity at my house went off, so my alarm didn't go off this morning, so I got up late. So here I am running around late trying to get myself ready for work. Now, my husband would normally take our daughter to daycare, but on this particular day, since we had been in a fight the night before, he was being his little knucklehead self like he normally is when we're in a fight, and he decides to not take our daughter to daycare. So here I am running around late trying to get myself ready for work, and now I have to stop and get my daughter ready for daycare. I finally get myself ready. I finally get my daughter ready and scooped up and in the car. We head off to the daycare, and right out in front of the daycare is a great big wreck. Who gets in a wreck going 20 miles an hour? Now I have to sit and wait for them to move the wreck out of the way. They finally get that wreck moved out of the way. I finally make my way in here into the office, and the first thing I have to look at is you looking at me saying, "Tell me something good." She said, "There ain't nothing good." I said, "Wow." I said, "All that bad stuff happened to you just this morning?" She said, "Yes, it did. And I have a question for you. Why is it that all the bad stuff in the world seems to happen to me, and none of it ever seems to happen to you?" Do you know people like that? People who walk around assuming that this dark cloud just follows them wherever they go and that no one else ever experiences heartache or troubles. You know these people? Yeah, me too. She was one of them. I looked at her and I said, I'm just curious, why is it that you think all the bad stuff happens to you and that none of it ever seems to happen to me? She said, "Because I've never seen you show up to work in a bad mood. And quite frankly, Clint, that ain't normal." How many of you know people who show up to work in a bad mood? I looked at this employee and said, "You've never seen me show up to work in a bad mood because I can think of 12 good reasons why I should be in a good mood long before I ever even get to work." I said, "Number one, I wake up." Small detail. Vital to starting a good day. I have never started a good day without that one little detail. But how many people do you know waking up and starting a new day is the first challenge of their day? The alarm goes off and they say, "Oh, I got to get up. I got to go to work. I got to go be with those people," whatever their challenge is. It's amazing to me. If there's anything I've learned through this pandemic, it's to embrace every day and be grateful for every day. As we get older, we start to see people pass on. We start to lose family members and friends. We realize we truly are here for just a whisper of time. I realize that as I get older, and as a result, every morning when I wake up, the first thing I do is go, "Woohoo! I got another day. Better bounce out of this bed, go make something big happen." I don't know how many more of these I'm going to get. So the first thing I do when I wake up is go, "Woohoo!" Well, I mean, I don't actually go, "Woohoo!" Be a little annoying to my wife. So I hear my alarm go off. I look around the room with two good eyes. I get out of a warm bed. I get up onto two good healthy legs. I walk into a warm shower. I get out. I put on clean clothes. I go downstairs and eat a good breakfast. I get into a truck that I own and I drive safely to a job that pays me to do what I love to do for a living. I looked at this employee and I asked, "Now, how can I show up here in a bad mood?" And it doesn't mean that the bad stuff that happened to you this morning didn't happen to me. We live on the same side of town, so if your electricity went out, there's a decent chance mine went out too, which means I was running around late, probably burned my toast, probably had some moron pull out in front of me on the way to work, probably had the train stop on the tracks. All those tragedies that happened to you, they all happened to me too. The difference is I didn't stay focused on that bad stuff. I stayed focused on what matters, all the stuff worthy of our attention. Here's a question for you. If I raced out of this studio right now and I got to the people who know you best, and I asked them, when life throws you daily challenges, where do you spend your time? Do you focus on that which didn't work well and wallow around in it? Do you complain to everyone on the globe who will stand still long enough how bad your troubles are? Or do you put those in their proper place and say, "I'm so blessed there's no way in the world I'm going to let those things bother me"? In other words, do you process the bad stuff? Or do you allow the bad stuff to lead you to constant complaining and excessive pessimism? Remember, bad stuff is not negativity, and we need to recognize the difference. The encounter that started with this employee 30 years ago began a journey of encouraging others to stay focused on the good stuff in their life, while encouraging others to do the same. That journey led me to create the SIMPLE model, an acronym of 6 simple things and 12 behaviors we can all do to overcome negativity. Over the next 6 videos, I'm going to introduce each aspect to you, one per video. I hope you'll commit to join me and to stick with me through the end. In the meantime, let's connect on social media. As you're about to learn along the way, one of the ways you can overcome negativity is to initiate relationships with positive people. As I mentioned, we are surrounded by negative people. We need to surround ourselves with positive people, with a positive message. So let's connect on social media. Life gives us challenges every day, and we need to be around people who will lift us when we're down. Come join me, and let's do life together. See you in the next video.